Welcome back to the Upper Tier Podcast, the football podcast we bring you each and every day on the Dynamo Podcast Network. Head over to YouTube. You know what to do. Subscribe, bell notification, like, share, comment, contact us, whatever way you want to do it. You'll find us on Twitter at _upper_tier. You'll find us on Facebook and Instagram, the Upper Tier. You'll find audio versions show on Spotify. You'll get us wherever you look. Dynamo Podcast Network, the Upper Tier. You'll find us, search it out and support us. Joining me tonight, Darren, how are we?
I'm all good, brother Niall. Just for everyone out there in radio land and podcast land, don't forget, unlike On Post, we deliver every day of the week, yeah?
Absolutely. This is your Premier League preview, match week 17. These previews are coming at us now thick and fast. It feels like we only have one done and we're bang slapped into another one with all this midweek action that's going on. Some interesting toys coming up, but we're hearing of some COVID outbreaks. I know Spurs have been hit particularly bad with it and they've had to postpone a number of matches. We're hearing today that United as well have had an outbreak as well, and it could put the Brantford game in jeopardy. But we'll go as if these are going to go ahead and we'll give our predictions.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. So we'll start off then. Tuesday, Brentford versus Man United.
Yeah. I suppose two good results of the weekend for these boys. You know, Brentford with the late show the other night. Friday night, I think it was now, wasn't it?
Yeah, me and you straight onto each other.
Straight on each other, yeah. So it was obviously a big win for Brentford, you know, and to get the goal so late in the day, because they'd been under the cosh a little bit to begin with. They obviously went the goal behind and they didn't have things all their own way and stuff like that. United then kind of flattered to deceive a little bit yesterday with Norwich, didn't they? Very workmanlike. I know we spoke about it. It's obviously the clean sheet is great and stuff, but I think tactically you'd like to see a little more than we seen on Saturday evening, come Tuesday hopefully. I don't think this is a game United will relish. Obviously coming on the back of the, they're three very similar kind of teams to play against, aren't they? You're home with Palace, you're away at Norwich, and you're away at Brentford. All teams that like to keep things very physical, and teams that like to, do things very, very quickly as well, So that might help us. I feel like we should have enough here. I think we'll put a much better foot forward than we did against Norwich. I don't believe we can be that bad again because, to be honest, we were much better against Palace than we were against Norwich, and you would concede that Palace are a much better team than Norwich at the minute anyway, So yeah, I'm gonna stick the neck out and I'm gonna say 3-1 to United.
Interesting. I'm gonna go for a 1-1 draw, and the reason I'm going for a 1-1 draw is I think it's a very tough place to go. Fans are right on top of you, and I think you coughed up a lot of chances to Norwich. And I think if they had a few better lads up front with their shooting boots on, they could have put a few away. David De Gea, again, more or less being man of the match, which is never a good sign if your keeper is man of the match. And I don't know what Max Aarons was thinking when he was grabbing Ronaldo like that.
I got to say, though, the man of the match thing was a little bit skew-eyed. I mean, he made 2 saves, So if you're giving him man of the match on 2 saves, we're in trouble here from a commentary point of view.
Yeah, but you're also in trouble from a performance point of view.
Yeah, but that's, that can also be, somebody sensationalising something going, I'm going to give this guy man of the match here. He was brilliant. And he saves he make 2,
But two outstanding saves.
They're 2 good saves. Are they 2 saves you don't expect your goalkeeper to make?
No, but they're 2 saves that your goalkeeper has to make or you're in trouble.
Exactly. But if he doesn't make either of them, you're wondering why he's playing in goal.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean? There's a lot there for... I think that's let's say ABU is throwing a bit of mud there and going, oh well, United, we're not gonna fall for that one out here, Niall. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with a 1-1 anyway. I'm gonna that's
you were never gonna give us the win here because obviously Brentford drew 3-3 with you boys here.
But I just have I kind of have a thing, like we have a thing for Graham Potter. I have a thing for Thomas Frank and for Brentford. I like Brentford and the way they go about their business.
Oh, absolutely.
And I think Brentford, I think they have better players in forward positions to score compared to Norwich.
Yeah, they do. And I probably think they maybe don't have as good at the back though, you know?
Yeah.
So, yeah, hopefully we can break them down a little bit more. Like, Watford did a reasonable job of breaking them down at times. And you'd have to hope. Now, although Watford are quite good going forward with the boy Emmanuel Dennis, fancy football players will know him from this weekend. 9 points.
They also slaughtered United.
They did. Yeah, they did. Absolutely. You know,
just put that out there.
Listen, yeah. Well, they're a good side going forward, you know.
Absolutely.
I've mentioned that they are. Joshua King and obviously the boy Sarr, who's injured at the minute, but they're quick, they're strong, they're pacey and stuff like that. Similar enough to Brentford, to be honest with you. So they could cause us trouble, but I think we look a little more organised at the back at the minute. You know, 2 clean sheets on the bounce for us is massive. Really, really is in the Premier League, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Next up, Norwich versus Villa.
Yeah, I don't think Norwich will get anything out of this, if I'm honest.
No.
I think Villa had a very, very tough game at Anfield. And I think the scoreline probably flattered them a little bit. You know, there's a goalkeeper who actually deserved man of the match, Emiliano Martinez, as opposed to somebody give it to him because the rest of them are shit around him. He genuinely had a good game. And I think, you know, Villa really struggled to create an awful lot. But I think they'll bounce back. I don't think Stevie would have been happy. Although he might have been happy with the result or how tight the game was, I don't think he would have been happy with the performance. I think he'll absolutely hammer the Villa boys between yesterday and the Norwich game.
I think certainly the game changed when Buendia and Ings came on. Now, obviously, you're introducing a bit of quality, but certainly they put it up to Liverpool once those 2 boys came in, and for about 15 minutes, they had Liverpool under a lot of pressure there. And I think, you know, I think they should pick up the points here against Norwich. I'm thinking Villa 3-1.
Yeah, I think Villa will do it 2-1. I think Dean Smith, obviously going back to his former club so soon, could be awkward, you know, because he's obviously just been shown the door recently, and all of a sudden he's got to go back there with his new side. But and he will have something to prove and the bit between his teeth. But I think Villa will just do this. I'm going to say 2-1 Villa.
Yeah, I'm thinking 3-1 because I think Stevie will have a point to prove as well to the Villa board to say, yeah, you made the right decision. Next up, Man City versus Leeds.
Yeah, I suppose Leeds again, a decent performance at the Bridge, hadn't they? You know, and again, when I'm looking at the team, I'm kind of going, he's missing a few still, isn't he? You know, there's still 3 or 4 players light of where they'd want to be, Leeds. You know, obviously the two ones you'd look at straight away is Calvin Phillips and Bamford. But there's another couple of boys you'd probably like to have around the place as well. Like, we haven't got to see Bamford flanked by Rafinha and James yet. Or flanked by Harrison and Rafinha with James in behind. And then with the 2 centre midfielders and a back 4 and stuff. So I think he's been a little unlucky, Bielsa. He's tried to tighten things up recently and he's done an okay job with that. Obviously, you know, the 2 penalties the weekend, like, you've fought so hard to get a result there, haven't you? Yeah. And then Click comes off the bench and does something like that and you're just thinking, my God.
That's my only concern. He's going to have to lift them from that because they put in a serious shift at the Bridge. Yeah. And, you know, to come away there with nothing must be demoralising for them, especially in the position that they're in at the moment in the league where they could really do with picking up some points, you know?
Yeah, no, I wouldn't have fancied them to get anything from this game either way, if I'm honest. So it's not going to add or subtract anything massively for me. I think this is City all ends up, and I think this is City maybe by 3.
You're thinking City 3-0?
Well, I'm thinking City by 3, so, you know, 3-0, 4-1, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm in around the same. I think Leeds will definitely score, but I think City again will be too much for them. But again, I looked at City against Wolves, and they kind of flattered to deceive, really, didn't they?
They did, but they don't usually have 2 games like that in the bounce.
And I'd imagine Leeds, from a physicality point of view, would present the same to them as Wolves.
Yeah, possibly. Yeah, well, I mean, certainly from a work rate point of view, I don't know whether from a physicality and a strength point of view, if it would be as tough I don't see Leeds being as kind of a bulky side as Wolves are, But it'll certainly be tough, We won't make it very easy. But I just think in that final third, that's where you'll see City take over, and those quick kind of balls, those cutbacks from the byline that they like, and you've got Mahrez or Sterling or Jesus coming in to knock something in for 3-4 yards. Those type of goals, I see a lot of that. But I think the two Leeds fullbacks can be very poor at times.
Yeah. Next up, Brighton versus Wolves. Potter versus Bruno Lage.
Potter versus Bruno. Obviously Bruno's going to be without his main striker in Jimenez. Petulance and frustration with that red card.
What did you think of that yesterday? I thought he was very hard done by with the card for the first challenge. Did you? I didn't see a whole lot in it now, and he came in and won the ball, and he was outside to the side. I thought that was harsh on the boy. I thought the after one, the one with the free kick where he blocked it, I thought that was just absolutely stupid.
Yeah, you see, I think again, and here's, not that we're big fans of him or anything like that, but you'll have to harp on to the Roy Keane days. When you give a referee a decision to make, there's a chance he's going to get it wrong. I think that's a double-edged sword. If you're in the Wolves dugout, you're thinking he's won that ball, there's very little in it maybe, you know what I mean?
Mm.
But if you're in the City dugout, you're thinking that's a yellow card. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a fine line and it can fall on either. But I think the second one is just, that's where I'd really, as a manager, be pulling my hair out. You're at City, they're one of the top teams in the league, if not in Europe, and you're putting it up to them and you're giving them a decent game and stuff like that. And then one of your boys goes and does that, and you're just thinking, you absolute muppet.
Yeah. I'm walking off and clapping the fans, walking off, and I'm thinking, you're after dropping your team in the meat grinder. And Wolves were well in the game. You know
absolutely.
What I mean? They were well in that game. So what you thinking on this one, Brighton and Wolves?
I think Brighton, having had the couple of days off, this could suit them. I think they'll have been working on a few bits. I think we'll see our old pals Tariq Lamptey and Mark Cucurella, the two wing backs. I think we'll see them get really, really involved here. And obviously Maupay, looking for 3 in a row here with goals, isn't he? And Wolves are going in without their talisman as well. That's a big thing.
And struggling to find goals anyway. When he's on the pitch. So with him off the pitch, it's going to be a real tough night at the office. Although I have to say, I do like the boy Chan. I think he's in after a little bit of time, he'll look an even better player in this league. He's still finding his feet, but he's good. I'm going to say Brighton, and I'm going to say Brighton by 2-0. That's my thinking. I was spot on 2-0 with the Brighton game. Yeah. Next up, Burnley versus Watford.
Yeah, Burnley against Watford. This is going to be hammer and tongs, isn't it? This is going to be fast, physical, frantic. I think, Burnley are obviously going to try and unsettle them and, be very, very physical and stuff like that. Watford will try and play a little more football and use a bit of a better tempo and stuff like that. Again, I don't believe that pitch up at Burnley helps when you're trying to play a bit of football. It's a little bit of a cabbage patch, and it can be difficult up there. I think I see Burnley getting 3 points here, a vital 3 points for themselves. Although I know they're struggling to score, I just think this could be a 1-0 to Burnley. This could be a Chris Wood or an Ashley Westwood or somebody like that. Just nick one, and I think they might just be able to hold Watford off this.
Yeah, and they picked up a good result against West Ham and 0-0.
Yeah, it's a good 0-0 today against West Ham. It is, yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. I'm going to go the other way. I'm going to go 2-1 Watford. I fancy Ranieri. I think he's going to start picking up a few points. And I fancy him against Burnley on this one. So I'm going to go 2-1 Watford. Next up, Palace versus Southampton. Southampton in serious trouble.
Southampton and our other mate, Ralph. I can't wait till we have Ralph versus Ralph in a few weeks, obviously, as well. That'll That should be great crack, shouldn't it? The two Germans.
That's it.
The tone might get lowered a little bit there. The two boys sometimes look like they're falling asleep. But yeah, this is going to be very, very tough for Southampton, isn't it? I mean, they played quite well against Arsenal. You know, they were 2-0 down in that first half and were battering Arsenal. They really, really were. You know, I was watching a little bit of it, and you was just thinking, if they could pick up a goal here, they could really start getting into their stride. They lost the boy Armstrong then, and then they don't have a cutting edge. They really don't. And they're a little bit toothless at times, and they just cough up too many goals, being that kind of toothless. You see, obviously, Palace today with a great win against Everton.
Yeah,
really great win. Conor Gallagher, unbelievable. Really, really was. I see Palace keeping the ball rolling with this. They've come out of a little bit of a slump, Palace. That win for them was big today. And I think they'll take that into the game during the week. And I think they'll get another 3 points. And I'm going to say this is going to be 3-0 Palace.
Yeah, I'm thinking the same, either 2 or 3-0. I think 2-0 I'm going to go for, just to change it up a bit from you. But I think 2-0 Palace. I think Southampton, I think after having a tough day at the Emirates there, they were kind of in the game in patches. But I think once Arsenal turned it up a notch and they started playing through them, they had no answer at all. That Lacazette goal is as good a goal in terms of a team goal as you'll see this season. It was phenomenal. And I just think the last place you want to go after that result is down to Selhurst Park, to that tough pitch, and try and put in a shift. Next up, this is going to be a belter. Arsenal versus West Ham.
Yeah, I suppose West Ham have they've been the what would you call them? The surprise package in these big games, haven't they?
Yeah.
I mean, they've all but turned over all of the big teams. Well, obviously, United managed to beat them 2-1, but we're not throwing United into the big team mix at this stage because we're still only 5th in the league. But they've obviously battered Chelsea and battered Liverpool. Arsenal find this very, very tough. And I think after a result like today, that 0-0 draw at Burnley, I think Moyes will have these boys absolutely chomping at the bit to go and have a go at this Arsenal team, because I think teams that can come out and have a real blast at this Arsenal team can get a bit of joy, because they don't look like they're a team that if they get into a dogfight, they're gonna manage to win it. I think if it's nicey and they can tack the ball around, side to side and get runners going here and there, I think it suits them down to the ground, and they'll get that against Norwich, Southampton, Burnley, teams like that. They're not going to get it like that against West Ham. Absolutely no chance.
Yeah. That midfield for West Ham will put it up to the mountain.
Yeah, well, 100%. I see West Ham getting something out of this. I think this is going to be a draw, but I think there'll be goals. I'm going to say this is 2-2.
Interesting. I'm going to go 2-1 West Ham, and I think Moyes is going to drop the hammer on Arteta. That's what I think, to excuse the pun. I think West Ham's midfield, I think they're going to be too strong for Arsenal, and I think at times Arsenal might get overrun. That's just my thinking at the moment. And I know with Arsenal at the moment, it tends to be kind of good result, bad result, good result, bad result. They had a good result against Southampton. Now they're welcoming West Ham to the Emirates. And this is a tidy London derby as well, isn't it? And West Ham are sitting where Arsenal want to be. And I think there's a lot of pressure there at the moment. And I think if West Ham could turn Arsenal over, they're certainly raising their credentials for either a top 4 or at least a top 6 without a doubt.
We might see a lot of United fans out with Arsenal jerseys on if we can beat Brentford, in the hope that Arsenal do us a favour and we hold on to our 4th spot there for a little while longer.
Absolutely. This one, I'm not sure if this is going to go ahead, but we'll take it as it's going to go ahead. Leicester versus Tottenham. Yeah,
obviously Spurs have had the, a couple of cancellations and stuff like that recently. The Brighton game, obviously. Spurs are in form though. Spurs are really in form. Conte has started to get a little bit of a tune out of these boys. I don't know how I feel about having this time off from a Spurs point of view. Is it a break from, them getting the ball rolling, which they had, or is this extra time there where maybe you can get guys to do a little bit of extra homework if they're not maybe at the training sessions, you know what I mean? You can be sending gear home and going, right, lads, click into this, click into that, have a look at what I want you to do. Now, it's obviously not the same as having guys on the training pitch, but I think at times, Conte is trying to obviously change the process at Spurs. And I know myself from coaching, sometimes when you overload guys with information, it does not necessarily go in the way you want it to. And just somebody can be out for a week or two and they pop back and all of a sudden things look a lot better because that information has slowly gotten in the way you wanted it to, Spurs could be much, much better than they have been in a couple of weeks against Leicester. Or they could look like a team who are not at it at all. I don't think we'll get a middle ground up,
I suppose if it goes ahead, it depends on what players they have available to them or what players have come back and what has been the extent of the COVID outbreak. Are some of these players tired? Are they lethargic? Did they get hit bad with a flu? What was the net effect of that, which we don't know, and whether the match will go ahead. I think if the match goes ahead, I'm thinking Leicester 2-1.
I think that's a little bit of a stretch. I know obviously they've had a good result today, but it's Newcastle they've turned over. It's not, and we know with Leicester at the minute, like that, it's good result, bad result, good result, bad result. They're picking themselves up and they're getting results, but then they're dropping a performance level, maybe because they feel like they've, when you feel like you've achieved a little bit and you take your foot off the gas, and that kind of seems the way they're going. Although one thing I will say about Leicester at the minute is James Maddison, player in form. Again, fancy football managers. I have him in my team. He did well for me this weekend. Had him and Conor Gallagher in there and our boy Emmanuel Denise. So it was half a decent week after some of the other boys firing blanks. But yeah, that's going to be tough, That's really going to be tough. Maddison has been playing very, very well, goals and assists. I don't know if he'll get the space at Spurs, though, that he's got at Newcastle today. And I don't know if he's a guy for the big occasion yet. Kind of a guy that seems to show up against all these lesser known teams for me at the minute, Maddison. I do believe he's a good footballer. I think he's gotta have to raise the game a little bit though, because he seems to show up against the lesser known teams and then he goes missing in the big games,
Yeah, these are the games where he needs to show up really. But I'm going to go Leicester 2-1. I think your point is valid. If the match does go ahead, I think Tottenham could be slightly derailed in terms of they had the ball rolling there, and now for a week they've had nothing to do. They've had a week off, and it's whether they've been able to train or he's been able to do any work with whatever he has left. And I know the extent of the COVID outbreak was quite savage for them, you know what I mean? So a lot of players were affected by it. So we shall see.
I think I'll sit in the fence with that one.
You're going to score a draw?
I think I'll go 1-1.
Okay. Chelsea versus Everton. I'm assuming Rafa will return to the bridge. I know they got a hiding today, so I'm assuming he's going to be in the seat by the time the Chelsea game comes around. He may or may not be.
I think he'll be in the seat, but I think it might be the last game he's in the seat for. I really, really do. I know, obviously, they removed Marcel Brands recently, didn't they, at Everton, which was a strange decision, if I'm honest, that you would remove your technical director, the guy that was maybe charged with making signings and stuff like that, especially after Rafa having so little money available in the summer, which means the kind of player and the caliber of player you can go for is extremely limited, and he's the guy that's taking the fall. I know they said now Rafa's going to be in charge of the transfers going forward and stuff like that. I don't see him getting forward much further if this is heavy, and it could be because they were absolutely battered by Crystal Palace earlier on. If Chelsea turn up on any given night, Chelsea could turn up and put 3 or 4 past you. We all know that they have that ability in them. I think they're going in now, and obviously Chelsea have a few injuries, so things are going to be a little more favourable for Everton. But I don't see them getting anything out of this. I don't think they've got the goals in the team at the minute. Everton are really missing the boy Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Today, you're also missing the boy Alan in midfield. I think when he plays, they look like a much, much better team. And when he doesn't play, which is quite regular because he seems to be a little bit injury prone, they just get bypassed in that midfield position. You look at the boy Andre Gomez, who's a super footballer, really, really good footballer. But like he should be playing up as a 10 as opposed to in centre midfield because he's just not physical enough. He's getting bypassed. He's getting absolutely dominated out there today by Kouyaté and Gallagher and stuff like that.
Took a bad knock as well today, didn't he, at one stage?
He did. He's frail for me, the boy Andre Gomez. He really is.
And coming back off a horrific injury as well, so we have to put
he is. But I think Everton are in trouble, if you're asking me. I have to be honest with you. I was surprised they went on that run early on in the season, and I was putting it down to Rafa and stuff like that. But I think there's guys looking around the pitch at the minute and they're kind of wondering where the next goal is going to come from, and that's not a good sign at all, is it?
Yeah, there's a lot of people there looking around, aren't they? And they're not seeing a whole lot, really. There's nothing to inspire them at the moment. And that's a tough place to go, the bridge, at the best of times.
Absolutely.
The only thing I would say is now is a good time to play them because they do look a little bit frail. I don't know how many injuries will have returned by that stage. But if it's similar, if they're missing Kante and stuff like that, Everton might have a fraction of a chance or something like that. But I'd expect Chelsea 3-0.
Yeah, I think I'll say Chelsea 3-1, yeah.
You think Everton will get one?
I think they'll get one. I think it's going to be 90 minutes of hard slog to get one and then concede 3, so it's going to be worthless again, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think at that stage, Rafa's going to look pretty close to the door. He really is. I don't know if you could see maybe, I know he's free at the minute, maybe Ronald Koeman making a return there or something like that, Yeah,
I don't know. I don't know what the answer is because the problem is you've Rafa there, but they're missing key players, and the players that are there really aren't putting in the shift for them that you'd expect, really. And I don't know whether that's Rafa related or just players are worn out from trying to put it in.
The squad is so poor at Everton. It's a poor squad and it lacks balance. It lacks major balance,
Yeah.
Could you name Everton's absolute best 11 right now? As in, with everybody fit, what's the best side? Because I still don't think he knows it. I still think there's question marks over who's the best centre back pairing.
Well, I suppose similar to the problems that Arteta had with Arsenal, I suppose if the players are injured and stuff like that and you haven't had an opportunity to see your best 11, if you like. And I think at the start of the season when he did have his best 11, I think they were performing for him. So it's a hard one to call, really. I mean, when you lose someone like Calvert-Lewin, he's their equivalent of Salah, really. You know what I mean? And if you lose him, they don't really have anything in there. It's not like they can bring a Jota off the bench or they can bring a Firmino off the bench or a Mane. You know what I mean? It's Calvert-Lewin or bust.
I looked at the bench the other night and I was so surprised because I didn't even realise the lad Czech Towson was still at Everton.
Yeah.
And I was like, is this guy on a bench? I was like, has he even kicked the ball in 24 months maybe?
They actually made that point on the night, didn't they? Actually, because I think didn't he come off the bench? And I think he came off the bench the other night, and I think they made that point that he hadn't been in the team for months. But that'll tell you just how bad it is,
Yeah.
We rounded out then with the usual 4-3 Liverpool versus Newcastle. This is Stan Collymore time and all that kind of thing,
I don't think this time though, do you?
No, I'd love it though.
I don't think you'd love it as much as what's going to happen.
No, I think this should be, I'm going to say comfortable for Liverpool.
It could get messy.
Yeah.
And I didn't believe you would do that to Villa. I thought the Villa game was going to be the odd goal.
Yeah.
I really feel like off the back of what Leicester did to them and the way Leicester like to play the ball about on the edge of the box like that with those one touch, you know what I mean? I think they're not even as good as Liverpool are at doing that. And I think that plays right into Liverpool's hands. I think this could be, we could see
a beatdown.
We could conceivably see 6.
And all for the Reds.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And the other thing I see, maybe he may decide to make a lot of changes and rest a couple of boys up.
I don't think he will, because he'll want to run those boys all the way up nearly to the AFCON, won't he? And then they'll be heading off. But for Salah as well, Salah's on the verge of equaling Vardy's record, isn't he? Of 15 consecutive goal contributing
involvement.
Whatever they call it.
Who have you got next weekend? I'd be interested to see who you have next weekend.
Away to Tottenham. If it happens.
Well, I know there was Tottenham boys back training today, wasn't there? So I suggest that might happen. But looking at the Tottenham game, it's your Tottenham away or your Newcastle at home, which is a more difficult game. I would suggest Tottenham away is, right? So maybe he gives a couple of guys a break and goes, we can do this without you, lads. We'll coast through this 2-3-0, get the result, and bring us back for Spurs. I would think there's a possibility.
I think he's learned from going the other way. I think what he'll do is he'll put out a solid team and maybe try and be 2-3-4 up at half time and then make some changes. I don't think he'll go the other way, because I don't think he'll want to spring lads from the bench.
Enough changes.
Yeah, I don't know. He tends not to. I wouldn't be tinkering with the league games anyway.
Well, I think here's me first show. I think Tsimikas will play.
Really?
Yeah.
I
think he'll play Tsimikas because I think he'll go. Robertson was only back from the injury a little while ago, and he's had a lot of football recently. And I think he'll go, you know what? We can do this without you. I think he'll give Tsimikas the game, and I think he'll bring Robertson either on for the last 15 to 20, or he'll save him completely for Spurs.
Yeah.
If he puts out the absolute nut flush of what he has, we'll see 5 or 6, 100%. And if we don't, it's because another goalkeeper has had a man of the match performance at Anfield.
Absolutely. Well, this has been your Premier League preview, match week 17. This is probably part 1 as well, because later on in the week we have to do part 2 for the weekend. Part 2. So they're coming at us thick and fast at this stage. As always, a pleasure having you on. I hope you're writing these down now. We're going to be checking these, see how this goes, because you're.
I'm just going to check now. What happened with this weekend's ones?
Yeah, you're pumping me at the moment on this. Absolutely.
I pumped you for a couple of weeks in a row now, so I'm going to start track of these things.
Yeah, absolutely. But this has been the Upper Tier Premier League preview, match week 17. Darren, a pleasure. Dynamo Podcast Network on YouTube, Spotify for audio versions of the show, and we will be back to you during the week with more previews and reactions. Cheers, bud.
Peace out, everybody.